The following may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Even after 15 years and hundreds of autopsies, forensic pathologist Dr. Eslyn MacDonald Burris is still traumatized by her work in the murder case of 6-year-old Sean Luke. MacDonald Burris made the admission yesterday as she took the witness stand in the virtual judge-alone trial of Akil Mitchell and Ricardo Chatu, who are accused of committing the crime as teenagers. Responding to whether she had seen the media reports on the start of the case, MacDonald Burris said, "To be honest with you, I got depressed as I had to live it all over again as a pathologist. I did not realize it would have had such a negative effect on me," she added. Pressed further by Mitchell's defense attorney Mario Merritt, MacDonald Burris denied that her emotions negatively impacted her work on the case. "I was psychologically traumatized, but I was not distracted. I had a job to do," MacDonald Burris said. During her testimony, MacDonald Burris said after an external and internal examination of Luke's decomposing body, she concluded that he died of internal abdominal and chest injuries caused by a 54-centimeter sugarcane stalk that was inserted through his anus. It was up through the anus and rectum, through the bladder, pelvic, and abdominal cavities, perforating the bowels, stomach, and diaphragm, entering the chest cavity, perforating the esophagus and pericardial sac, and causing lacerations to heart and right lung, ending at the upper border of the chest cavity near the collarbone, she explained. She suggested that moderate force was used. MacDonald Burris also found bruises on Luke's neck and chin, which she suggested may have been caused by pressure with an object or ligature such as a hand, cord, or shoelace. MacDonald Burris suggested that from her external and internal examination, mild to moderate pressure was applied. "I think the pressure that was applied was temporary and was done to incapacitate the deceased," she said. MacDonald Burris was also presented with the findings of her colleague, Professor Hubert Daisley, who performed the second autopsy on Luke's body and concluded that he died from strangulation. "Oh, Lord," MacDonald Burris said when Daisley's name was first mentioned by Merritt. "I did not consider that as a cause of death because from the autopsy, the chest and abdominal injuries were overwhelming," she said as she pressed on why she excluded strangulation. MacDonald Burris also noted that despite the extent of the internal injuries, Luke would have survived in approximately 10 to 30 minutes before he succumbed to his injuries. "I do not think death was instantaneous," she said. MacDonald Burris was also quizzed about her testimony during the preliminary inquiry of the case, in which she estimated that Luke was killed between 24 and 36 hours of her autopsy based on rate of decomposition of his body, which was found covered in maggots and oozing fluids from its orifices. Luke went missing on the evening of March 26, 2006, and his body was found in an abandoned sugarcane field near his home at Orange Valley Road, Couva, 2 days later. MacDonald Burris performed the post-mortem within hours of the discovery. MacDonald Burris noted that when she testified previously, she prefaced her estimate with the words "at least." While being questioned by Merritt, MacDonald Burris admitted that Luke had a blood alcohol level of 38 micrograms of alcohol per every 100 milliliters of blood. While MacDonald Burris said that the legal limit for driving was 80 micrograms, she speculated over the source of the reading, as she claimed she was not a toxicologist, although she suggested that it could have been caused by decomposition or if Luke had been administered cough syrup before his death. She admitted that ingestion was more likely. MacDonald Burris also testified that from her observations, Luke was not the victim of protracted sexual abuse. I formed the opinion that the deceased probably was not someone who had been subject to repeated events or episodes of sexual activity via the anus, she said, as she noted that she took swabs for DNA testing. MacDonald Burris was also asked if Luke was lying down or bent over when the injuries were inflicted. She said she could not speculate. I am not sure that the injuries have any relationship with the position of the body, she said. During yesterday's hearing, state prosecutors also tendered the evidence of the 20th witness, a police officer who testified during pre-trial applications in the case, and whose evidence is uncontested. Mitchell is also being represented by Kirby Joseph and Randall Raphael, while Evans Welch, Kelston Pope, and Gabriel Hernandez are representing Chatu. Sabrina Dugdeen Jaglal, Andrew Bola, and Sophia Sandy Smith are prosecuting. The trial is expected to resume tomorrow.
As Pauline Namfai went about her chores on March 26, 2006, she could not have known that what started like any other Sunday would end with horrific news that would alter the course of her life forever. She went to bed after lunch on that fateful day and fell asleep while Sean drove his toy cars over her arms. The little boy was nowhere to be found when she woke up 2 hours later.
I wake up and I was looking for him, but I didn't see him nowhere. So I thought he was over by my uncle who lives next door. He had a boat under his house, and Sean liked to go and play in the boat because he's a fisherman. And I thought he was there.
Pauline says she shared a very special bond with her son and was often accused of cosseting him. With that in mind, she did not resume the search for him until approximately 4 p.m. that afternoon. It was at this point that full-fledged panic set in. She made her way to the Couva police station where she filed a missing persons report. Believing that officers on call that night trivialized her concern, she went to the U.S. Embassy the following morning as Sean was a United States citizen.
They are the people who got the ball rolling and finding Sean, because minutes after Samantha John interviewed me, the police reached here by the van load, the chopper reached in the night, the dogs reached. It was crazy down here. And it was the dogs that found him. They asked me for a piece of his clothing, and the dogs found the body.
The search was suspended on Tuesday morning when Sean's battered remains were found in a canned field a stone's throw from his home.
Shockwaves started to go through my body, and I still couldn't accept it. I still wouldn't accept it. Even seeing the coroner's vehicle there, I still would not accept anything bad happen. It's like everything just go psst. I shut down. I couldn't cry. I couldn't bawl, I couldn't talk, I couldn't think, I couldn't do nothing. My mind refused to accept anything bad had happened to Sean. I can't explain that kind of shock.